Kira, I just want to start with you. You're in Kyiv. You just watched that. What's your reaction?
Well, I was almost in tears. I think he did a very good job as a president, as a leader. I think the words are right, and he is able to picture the situation that's happening, that the war is not only between Russia and Ukraine, that the war is far more global. And the fights that my country and my nation and my people are in, they are for the bigger cause, to make sure that the tyrant, that the evil, that the destruction is stopped and is not able to continue. And every minute of hesitation, when the NATO allies are deciding to do or not to do it, we are fighting. We are buying this time with our blood, with our lives. And this is why it's so important to act fast and to act with courage on behalf of the global needs, on behalf of the world peace, on behalf of the democratic values, on behalf of understanding that we are either living in the world where one country can attack another and just take it, or we are living in the world where the rules matter, where the values matter, where the agreements matter, where the countries like Ukraine can ask and receive the support to be actually fighting back as hard as possible, because we are fighting as hard as possible. And the support that President Zelensky mentioned is exactly what we need right now. Push Putin back with the sanctions, more sanctions. Support Ukraine with the aid, more aid. We are super grateful for what we are getting right now. We wouldn't be able to stand as long if there was no of the support. But what we definitely need is to be able to fight Putin's forces in the sky. We are planning to figure out the way to give it to us.
Right.
We are not asking people to die for us, but we are asking to get us the means to win ourselves.
And Kira, you've said that repeatedly. Jody, I want to bring you in too, because as we saw in President Zelensky's speech in the text, I mean, the message is very clear: close the sky over Ukraine. How does that resonate with Congress and with President Biden? Is there potentially a negotiation to make this happen? I know they've been pretty resistant to it at this point in time.
Yeah, I think, first of all, that the speech was very emotional. It was a direct appeal to the U.S. Congress, both chambers sitting there, very unusual kind of situation, seeing the Ukrainian president on the screen before them, pleading with them, help us, but also in a tone of gratefulness. Before, we've sometimes seen the Ukrainian president in recent weeks more really beseech Congress and the president. This time he said, we're grateful for what you have done so far, personally thanking President Biden, which was an interesting touch. He came hand in hand, but with a message of gratitude as well as of seeking. But what he is seeking in terms of aid, the U.S. Congress is going to give him a lot of aid. What they're seeking in equipment will be negotiated, but there will be some equipment. Sanctions, there probably will be more sanctions, but the question about the no-fly zone is really something that the U.S. has indicated, certainly President Biden has indicated, that they can't go for, that he will not do something that could lead to World War III. So that is probably going to fall on deaf ears, although there may be some in Congress, there may be some hawks who want to go ahead and who want to go there. But at the same time, that one's going to be the hard sell. But it was an interesting speech. It was a well-crafted speech to Congress. Again, that message of, please bring us peace. You are the leaders of the world. You can bring us peace.
And Kira, Jody laid that out really wonderfully for us, as sort of the responses that we've gotten on this particular topic. If not the no-fly zone, Kira, what would you consider as an adequate amount of aid? I mean, there's some reports about drones potentially being delivered to your country to help out with the resistance. Would that go far enough?
We do need jets. The jets is something that that is required for us to be able to protect the skies ourselves. So it will not be fly zone as it is. It will be Ukrainian pilots flying the jets that will be able to, that we will need to get. And we had this plan to get them from Poland, but at some point, this issue was lost in negotiations between Poland and the United States. And we really do want to bring it up. We need jets. We need the S-300 stations that will help us there for protection stations. And this will be probably like something in the middle, in between nothing and the no-fly zone. And it will obviously help us right now to protect the cities that are being destroyed.
And Kira, you yourself, I mean, you've been very outspoken too about it. You have armed yourself. You have learned how to shoot just in case there is a siege that happens. What is it going to take for you to put down those arms and accept some sort of compromise, some sort of deal? Of course, we started off the show talking about some of the negotiations that are happening. What would make you feel safe enough to put down your rifles?
First of all, the deal cannot be taken if Ukraine gives up any of our territory. This is the first one. Second, there needs to be a security agreement with the NATO countries being in, that we will not be attacked once again. And these are two most important items right now. Because again, what would happen if we make a peace? We will put down the arms and then Putin will attack again. While the risks of it are still high, there is no peace that could be made. There is no stopping of the war because we will still have to fight until we win.
And Jody, I want to bring you in here because right now we're actually taking a look at House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who is still in the room right now with Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S. And she was also, I believe, at the State of the Union just a few weeks ago. Jody, we're going to hear from President Biden later today, and he's also going to be traveling to meet with NATO allies reportedly next week. How does he respond to this? What is your take? And are any of the Congress people who were in the room today going to sway him to do anything additional that Zelensky was calling for?
Yeah, well, first of all, I think the president, when we hear from our president, President Biden today, he will be talking about that he will be supporting the president. He can speak emotionally, has spoken emotionally about Ukraine and President Zelenskiy, and I think he will speak emotionally as well about that speech that we just heard to Congress. And he will say, we will do for you what we can, and we are here for you. I think we will hear that. I think he will respond to that message of gratitude that, thank you, I appreciate that, and we are here for you. On sanctions, I think he will say, yes, we will continue to double down on sanctions. That has been the message before the war began. I think he will talk about the aid that is being given and that he wants to see even more aid given. But when it comes to that no-fly zone, I think he will not agree to that. And I think he will give us a message that he has given us recently that would lead to World War III. I think the other thing you will hear from President Biden is something obviously not mentioned in the Ukrainian president's speech just now, but about negotiations and how he would like to continue to see these negotiations. We've been hearing now the Kremlin might be open to what they're calling a separate state that would have its own military, but would be more like, say, the Swedish model. And we will have to hear more details on that. But I think that is something that President Biden might support as well, although we heard from Secretary of State Antony Blinken already today that any negotiations would have to make sure that not only did Russia withdraw its troops from Ukraine, but give a guarantee that they would not be going back in, that there has to be that guarantee, there has to be that certainty that Ukraine will not face military repercussions, say, a month from now. So there are obviously a lot more to do if there's going to be a negotiated situation, but I think that is certainly something that we could hear from the president about as well.
Certainly, that enforceable security guarantee that we've heard about Ukraine. Kira, just to end with you, Jody mentioned this neutral position that has been floated a lot. What does a neutral Ukraine look like? I mean, talk to us about those security guarantees that you want to see, and maybe if you think that this can finally bring an end to the war.
So yet again, we don't see what should be the security guarantees that Russia can provide, so there would be trust in them. These security guarantees right now are very vague, and we still would want NATO allies to be involved in getting these security guarantees.
So you want some specifics?
Yeah, well, not only some specifics, there should be like very detailed explanations of how these security guarantees would work. Because, you know, we are right now at the situation that after Budapest Memorandum of 1994, where Ukraine gave up its nuclear arsenal for the security guarantees that we were supposed to execute on today. And as you see, we are not getting them. So right now, Ukrainian people would be very, very concerned about what these security guarantees would be and how they will be executed on. Because right now, when the whole country is ready to fight and fighting, stopping the war with the words, okay, Russia promised us yet another thing, would be almost impossible. I can tell you that. And I could tell you this from my standpoint, because I do not trust Russians. And until they take their troops back from Ukraine, I wouldn't be putting down any weaponry that I have. Because we have seen for 8 years what they're capable of. We have seen them not keeping their promises. And so to build this new trust between the countries in the world, to build this new defense system in the world is a task that is up for the United States to do as a leader of the world, right?